going to be a train wreck. So this is my third take on wall crawling enemies. Looking around YouTube, the preferred method seems to be setting up waypoints for the enemies to track to. But, like in my last video on terrain randomizing, I want a prefab that I can just throw in anywhere and call it done. The first attempt was physics-based. I actually really liked it. Nice, happy, bouncy, free-floating murder burgers. But the slimes had a habit of getting knocked off surfaces and spinning wildly in the air, eating anything that got close to them. The second attempt was closer to what I did in this video, but this version is simplified and cleaner. It's basically two parts. One game object that traces itself around the level, and the actual character that follows behind it and smooths out the somewhat mechanical-looking path. Step 1 is the tracker object. It's a bunch of empties. Ground checks in the front and back, along with a third ground check in the center, slightly higher than the other two, and then a wall check in the front. The script uses the transform of all these, along with adjustable speed and rotation floats. And for the script, first off you can see all the public variables that were visible in Unity, along with private collider 2Ds needed to make everything work. The first step, assign all the collider 2Ds to the physics2D dot overlap point of their corresponding public transforms. In my case, I check against the mid-ground layer. We don't care what they're hitting, we just want to see if it's something. All the code below works off whether or not it is null. Now for the actual movement. The first thing I check is whether or not all the checkpoints are null. If it's true, something's wrong, you've got a flying wall crawler. Ignore everything else and just move down. I split the rotation and moved it into two different blocks. Version 2 had everything handled all at once and it got messy. Rotation gets done first. If you're hitting a wall, pick your head up. Else, if you're hanging way out over an edge, put your head down. Else, if you find yourself doing a handstand, get your butt down, you're a slime, don't get fancy. Then it's time for the actual movement. If you're not dragging your stomach or slamming your head into a wall, just move. Else, if you're hitting a wall, back up and drop down a tiny bit. Combined with the rotation from before, this actually works out. Else, if your stomach's dragging, you're probably over an edge, so move forward and up a little bit. You probably noticed that I have floats modifying the speed and rotation all through this. One constant didn't feel natural all the way through, and you can tweak it however works best for you. The way I have it set up, the slime slows down a little when going over an edge and kind of jumps up a little quicker when climbing onto a new wall. You could stop there and put this on your character, but it feels a little mechanical. What I did to fix this is have my character follow that object around, but smooth out the position and rotation changes. Variables, we're going to need the transform of the object we put the first script on, some floats for adjusting the movement and rotation smoothing, some vector 3s for the positions. For some reason it didn't like just having transform.position and the movement dampening, and a vector 3 named velocity to be used for the rotation smoothing. The code itself is short and sweet. Grab the position of your character and the follow target. Again, not sure why this wouldn't work without this step. Then use vector3.smoothDamp to follow slightly behind and smooth out the changes in speed. And finally, use the Quarernions.Lerp to smooth out the changes in the rotation. If you want to know exactly how these work, check the API, link below. I can't really explain this. I really am just figuring this out as I go along. That should just about do it. Beyond that, you may want to watch your wall detector. If you have small variations in your terrain, you'll want it low to the ground. If your character is going into tight spaces with sharp angles. You want it high so it makes contact and starts turning earlier. If you got both situations, I'd add a second wall detector. What? You're still here?